Hi, Yvonne.
Hello, Evie. How are you?
Good.
Excellent.
I think that's a bit of a, how you call it, the internet thingy. I think we are a bit late. Are we a bit late? We might be a
Yeah,
bit late.
only a minute or two. Only a minute or two. I think
Talking
we're all
about
okay.
stress management. I think we are right on target.
Absolutely. Well, and that's so interesting, isn't it? So, first of all, hello to anyone and everyone who may be tuning in live, and to anyone who watches this on replay. Yes, this week we are talking about stress management, and we just had a bit of a tech issue. Hence, we logged in like a minute late, and it's really interesting to think that some time ago, had that happened, that kind of panic and like, oh my gosh, that you can kind of start to get into. And like none of that today. It was just like having tech issues. Okay, no worries, I'll wait. And so it goes. A real change in the approach of knowing that actually, when is stress serving us well? So when is it a friend, and actually when is it a foe? When is it just getting in the way and really stopping us from doing the things that we want to and need to truly do? So with that said, let's talk stress.
Yeah, let's talk stress. Actually, it is quite interesting. I was listening to Shehzad the other day talking about stress, and let's remind the people that are listening. And Shehzad is the person that actually has created positive intelligence. So that he's our teacher in many ways, and our coach. So he was saying stress is like there is this notion that there is good stress. However, the good stress is only good if it lasts for that one, few seconds. It's that sense of putting your hand on the hot stove. If you keep it just slightly, that gives you the signal of okay, not a good idea to keep my hand on there. But if you keep it longer, then you start getting bad consequences. Your hand's going to burn. In the case of stress, you're going to get hijacked from your saboteurs, and then the whole thing is going to go crazy. So there was this and this discussion also going about, because there are people that think that there is good stress. Also, there are people that think that, unless I'm stressed, I can't really operate and be my best version, and be productive and all these things. But all these are, in essence, myths of our saboteurs. What do you think about?
Well, and I guess to some degree, I would challenge that a little bit, because certainly from a physical intelligence perspective, we talk about eustress, which is deemed good stress because it's the kind of driving energy that you have. And so it may feel like a push, but this can be performance enhancing. And it's the stuff that keeps you motivated and focused and resilient. Whereas and we call, and that is eustress, right? So you can look that up, EU and stress. And then there's distress, which is what we're really talking about, that kind of negative stress that puts you into overwhelm, that leads to burnout, that makes you anxious, where you're always being reactive in your decision making. And they feel completely different. So, when I think about, for me, when I think about eustress, if I'm going to go and do a talk, let's just say, there is some excitement that kind of bubbles up, and there's that feeling, but it's not fear. It's not anxiousness. It's almost like an excitement and trying to contain some of that. So for me, that's what I would describe as my eustress. Like it's like it's getting me ready to go do this
That
thing.
doesn't sound bad, actually. But maybe because, like, it is the word, and like, as if you give it a different name, like fear and excitement can be like, like opposites of the same coin as well, doesn't
Yes,
it? Or
yes,
like anxiousness and excitement, not so much fear, but anxiousness and excitement.
yes.
So in some respects,
Yeah. So
the
yeah, it just
good
depends.
stress could be called something else, so
Could
we
be.
don't confuse it.
Absolutely. I think that the reality is, though, that generally speaking, when we're talking about stress, we are talking about the kind of stress that is incredibly painful for people. And actually, I feel that we are leaning more and more into the normalization of it. It's like, oh, well, I work in this industry, so it's just normal for stress. There's nothing normal about stress. I just kind of want to, I just want to put that out there. There is nothing normal about stress. If it takes your body out of balance, if it causes your cortisol levels to rise, if it causes you anxiousness, burnout, there is nothing okay or normal about that. That we are beginning to talk in terms of accepting it is
Mhm.
something that we really do need to deal with.
And one thing I want to add to that, because I am a recipient of that in some ways, is that you might be stressed and not know about it. You might be stressed and it has been normalized so much that you are either thinking that you're coping, or you really cannot feel it, but the others around you can. And usually, when you are in that state and somebody says you look stressed, you go and hit the wall. So, showing how much stressed you are, but no denying it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I have been there, and it is a very strange um, type of place to be, because
yeah,
of the normalization, as you say, of stress, or
absolutely.
thinking that you are coping
Yeah.
fine,
And
and
that
it's
it's
not
acceptable,
so.
and that it's acceptable, because this is, it's a bit like when we talk about burnout. Even, people talk about it as if it's acceptable. I'm just like, if you're accepting it, then you're just saying, well, I'm okay with it
Yeah.
happening, and I'm just going to live my life and allow those things to happen, as opposed to saying, well, actually, that's not okay, and what am I going to do about it? Because until you get
Mhm.
to that place, you
Yeah.
will keep on falling into those patterns and just normalizing it, and then as your health is being eaten away every time you bounce in and out of this thing, you at some point in your life you'll think, what was I thinking? How did I think that was okay? But it's already happened, and now your body's paying the price for it. So I think we need to be really, not to raise fear, but to understand that stress is a killer. And I'm just going to say that once and once only. But we need to understand just how bad it can be for us. And in understanding how bad it can be, it's okay. How do we notice it? And then how do we manage it? And you were saying something really interesting to me earlier about, you know, past, future, present, where we are in order to feel stressed. Did you want to share that? Because I thought that was a really good point, Evie.
Yeah, within positive intelligence, the one thing that we need to really understand, and if we manage that alone, we can really manage stress in a very good way, is that stress cannot really be in the present. Basically, what this means, that thinking in the present, and that's what we do in positive intelligence, by bringing ourselves back to self, by coming back to present all the time, you cannot really feel stressed. Stress is related very much with the future, because you're stressed about what outcomes might happen, or in the past, when you're stressed about things that have happened, and you feel the consequence, or what consequences could they have in the future. And the only time that stress can be really managed is like when you are in the present, and when you're dealing with it from the sage perspective, because the saboteurs are always making you go, like, be in the past or in the future, and there is always this voice of, you need to act now, and it doesn't matter how, and you just, something is happening, so you are like really getting stressed. But with the sage perspective, you are here, you are like sort of like seeing the challenge in its state, whether it's in front of you, in the future. That's how I see the future and the past, or behind you. But you are staying in the present, and you are like contemplating now. You're not hard thinking of how to manage the challenge, because that puts you straight away, as you said, your cortisol levels go up. You really don't think straight. That's the whole point of stressing. And you really are not going to act accordingly. Probably you're going to react. And that's never a good place to be. So with the sage perspective, you are within the moment, and you are now contemplating, okay, what is happening, and if there is a result that you're not happy about, or you think it's going to be the worst case scenario, within the sales perspective, the likelihood is that you're going to say, okay, that could be, and it is the worst case scenario, but what can I do about it? How can I turn it into a gift or opportunity? So you're focusing on that rather than, oh my God, the sky fell on my head and there's nothing I can do about it, because that's what stress does for us.
Absolutely. And the other part of that stress, the sage perspective, is gift or opportunity or acceptance, because sometimes there are things that occur that it's just like, well, there is nothing that I can do right in this moment. So I'm choosing to accept it, knowing that something will come from it. And depending on what the thing is, depends whether that's the right way to go, or whether you really do need to find that gift and opportunity, or whatever that is. And I think that for me, it feels so much different in the body. So I'm always like, if you want to know how stressed you are, when there's something happening, when there's a kind of pressure situation, where are you feeling it, and what does that feel like? Like, I know in my past, when I've been stressed, my stomach, there's not butterflies, there's like 2 million butterflies and probably a cow running around inside my stomach. It feels painful, it's uncomfortable, it's and it's almost to the point of not really going into the shakes, but feeling like I could, that sense of pressure. Whereas when I am in a situation where something hasn't gone right, and I choose very quickly to say, right, I'm not going to let the saboteurs take me down that road. I know where they want to go. I'm going to go the other way. That what I do is I then sit and allow myself to come to a calm state. Because here's the thing, and whether that's using breath work, PQ reps, whatever it is that I use to take me to that place, because I know, and I will put my life on this, that if I make a decision from a place of calm, it will be a much better decision than the one I make from high stress, anxiousness, reactiveness. I've done both. I've done both in my lifetime. And I'm telling you, when as I look back and I think about all the times I've made decisions from a place of reactiveness, they're probably the ones that, if I was somebody who held things against myself, they would be the ones I held against myself. I just don't do that because I don't see any benefit in it. But they would be, or they would have been, and they probably were, until I learned to do things in a much more practical, helpful way, because there is no helpfulness in that. And I think, again, it's a little bit like, stress is great. Stress is a signal. It's a pinprick. It's the wake up. Something's not right. And then the next thing is, what needs to happen?
Absolutely.
And in that moment, you need to be able to access that sage thinking. You need to get to that space, because if you let your saboteurs get into the driving seat when you're thinking something needs to happen. They will take you up and down every road and hill, none of which that will probably serve you in terms of how you feel or even get you into the action that you really need to be in. That's my perspective.
100%. But like, I think you got it exactly. The stress, and like any other type of negative feeling or something that like gives us that push, that first like wake up call. But since we know that that's not good for our bodies and potentially not good for anyone around us, then that's the time when we want to not react but stop, pause, and contemplate and see what is the best way forward. Because otherwise, it's just chaos and, well, nothing. Not, I don't want to say nothing good is going to come out of that, but it's not likely. As you said, you are going to be way better equipped to decide when you are in that state of like, okay, let's see how can we move
Absolutely.
forward, even in the worst case scenario,
Yes, yes. And
because there is always a forward.
of course there is. And I think that we have to, this isn't, so when we're talking about this, first of all, I want to just say this is not easy. Right, so we're
No,
talking about it in these very simple terms and like, no, don't do that. Just, choose to be calm. And this is not easy. And that's the whole point of the work. That's the whole point of doing like the mental fitness work, is to make it easier, right? So we want the ease and the flow of stuff. However, most of us have been reacting, overreacting, in overdrive for so long that to break those patterns takes some work. And we always compare it to, going to the gym. And I'm really happy to do that because I go to the gym, right? So, the gym is like another home for me. So, you don't go to the gym once and get the result that you want. You go consistently, and you do the work till you get the results. And that's exactly the same with mental fitness. If we want to break these patterns that keep on taking us into stress, that are impacting our physical and mental and emotional well-being, we need to do the work. We need to be prepared to do the work. And I get really and I don't want to say frustrated is not the word, but I kind of like when I hear people saying, oh, you can break the spell in 2 minutes. It's like, well, I will actually say I don't agree with that, because neural pathways are deep. They run deep. They have been created over years. So actually, for us to be able to break those patterns, we can break them bit by bit, 100%. But to just say, well, today I'm this and tomorrow I'm that, and always be able to maintain that, even with all the work that I've done, I cannot maintain it. There are moments.
no,
Like,
we need to be realistic as well.
Yeah.
And definitely, there is one thing to just think positive and hope for the best. There's another thing to be positive and also be realistic. And I think, as you said, the work is the important thing. And I like to think of the work as the important steps that we take without thinking what is it that we're going to get out of it, because everything else becomes a byproduct. Even dealing with your stress in the way that we dealt with earlier, it's a byproduct of all this work that we have been doing for more than a year.
Yeah.
So
100%.
there are no magic wands and stuff like
No.
that in here.
It's practice, and these, when we talk about managing the management of stress or anything, it's the practices that you're willing to do to get you to that place where your body feels safe and that you can be in these situations, and instead of almost immediately going into reactive, even when you get the pinprick, you know how to very quickly bring yourself back to this moment. You know, and I've learned that through physical intelligence and positive intelligence. You know, we can use the body to aid that process. These are all amazing tools that help us to get there. And I think you were saying earlier about, you know, the role that the saboteurs play on, you know, we feel, you know, stress comes, we feel it, and then it's what we do with it. It's the decision.
Absolutely. Every saboteur deals with it. I mean, every saboteur has a different lie.
Yes, exactly.
For, you know, why you're stressed and why you need to be stressed, rather.
Indeed.
Not why you are stressed, why you need to be stressed. So, and the thing with positive intelligence, like, okay, even with the most seasoned coaches, there are things that might stress you way more than others, right? So understanding the lie of the saboteur and contemplating on the lie, so catching the lie and contemplating on the lie, is something that's way stronger and more likely to help you with your next steps than even doing like whole range of PQ reps to just, you know, like stubbornly in a way say, no, I'm not going to be stressed. I'm going to be in the present. I'm going to think slowly. If all these things don't work, contemplating on the lie of the saboteur, understanding that, is the fastest way to get out of that situation. Because when you know that something is a lie, you cannot necessarily, like, there's no way that you're going to sit there and listen to it. That's the thing.
And accept it. And accept it, right?
You can't. You're like, no, there is no way. That can't be the case.
Yeah. And an example of that, and I like, my judge has been playing up a little bit the past week, I have to be honest. So, you know, so let's just think about the judge. And the judge is really good at amplifying everything. But you know, when your judge is at play, that stress can be, you know, you've failed. You know, these are the sorts of things that, you know, oh, you're a failure, you're just not good enough, you're not good at that. You know, the sorts of the patterns that come up from the judge in those moments that then drive that stress and make it feel incredibly real. So there's no doubt that it feels incredibly real. And actually being able to say, hold on a moment, this thing about failure, I need to take that and I need to examine that, because what part of that is true? And actually the ability to be able to do that, to catch that and just say, hold on a moment. You know, I can think of a million reasons or a million situations where I know that is not the truth. And I may think of one or two that where it may be, I have felt that was the truth. So, you know, being able to catch those thoughts and actually literally just say, oh, right, let me look at you. Because is that really the truth for me? Do I truly believe that? Is this just a pattern that my judge is throwing out there, you know, in its desire to protect me, keep me safe in some shape or form? But actually, if you think about it, how is that protecting you? How is that keeping you safe? Really, what it's doing is suppressing your capabilities. It's suppressing your capability to actually have the clarity of thought to do something different, to find a solution. This is exactly what it is.
But that is the lie, isn't it? It's like, I am protecting you. And the protection is that, okay, let's stay in the know, because if we don't, there is risk.
Yes.
And it's always the case, especially with the judge. I think like all the saboteurs do that, but the judge, like, very much so. And as you were talking about the judge there, I mean, the biggest lie when it comes to stress from the judge is that it's a matter of life and death. You are going to be seen as a full-fledged failure, or I don't know, everything. So there is no something that you can fall back to. It's a full-on
Yeah.
like reprimand from, and there is nothing else. But there's always something else, and that is the thing that the judge keeps doing to us.
Yes.
It's like I grew up thinking that, like I there is not much choice, or I don't have
Mm.
a lot of choice in so many things with regards to my life. And it was so hard to get, to break that pattern. Even though I come from a very, like free environment, in a democracy, in a, like I come, like I am not in an environment that you would say, okay, that's what it is taught. That shows how much this type of pattern is really embedded in our DNA. I don't know where it is,
Yeah.
but the thing is, I know for a fact that there is always choice.
Yes.
Now I know. But imagine how difficult it was to get out from the pattern. And I
Of
think the
course.
judge is the one that gives us the biggest support in, in believing that there is no choice. So it's that.
Absolutely.
That's it. Stress about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the judge is very good at distorting things. So, and we get caught in the distortion of that, stress means that you're not in control. You've got no control. You're not in control. That kind of thing that it's telling you. Whereas actually stress is just signaling there's an opportunity here for growth. There's an opportunity here to stop and think and do something differently. There's an
Mhm.
opportunity here to look for another way. So we have, do I want to engage with that, or do I want to just let the judge, keep on telling me that I have zero control. And like you said, the judge is like, fix this now, fix this now. If you don't do it now, you'll never do it. You'll never do it. Even when it's thinking about something from the past, you're like, it's in the past, it's done. Why am I trying to fix? What are you doing? So again, it's battering you into that place of you haven't finished something, because that for me is what it's telling you. Fix it now, fix it now. You didn't do it then, fix it now. And yet we know that actually the sage knows that some challenges need space. Sometimes we need space, not urgency. And
Yeah.
we need to be able to say, right, I need to be able to step back and see what I'm seeing and see what I'm not seeing, or what I haven't been seeing, before I make a decision. And understand that that's far more likely to lead to a better outcome than being reactive and just doing that thing that your saboteur saying you need to go and do something now. You go and do the thing now, and then it's still the wrong thing, and now you've just set saboteurs on fire, like it's party time. So you have to really be aware that the patterns are so potent. They are so potent, and the way to break free from them is to do the work. That's why we feel really passionate about this. I talk about this and suddenly I go off the deep end, because I do feel so passionate about it, because I don't want people to keep on getting stuck in these loops that, whilst they're telling you are for your safety and security, and they may even feel cozy because it's what they are not for your development. They are not for your growth. They are not for your expansion. They will not take you to the places where you deserve to be seen and heard. And they are not going to stop you from experiencing stress. Who wants to be experiencing stress? I mean, if I were to ask people, do you want to experience stress? I'm going to think that most would say no. Not really. Thank you very much indeed. Right?
And the thing is, stress is so prominent in our lives, even for the good things. You see, that's what I don't understand. In many ways, I mean, you might be stressed because you're putting together your birthday party, for goodness sakes. It's like, even for good things, we
Yeah.
tend to get stressed.
Yes. Weddings. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
that's
Come on.
a
Stress
big
is through the
thing.
roof, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my
So
gosh,
I
there's so much
mean,
to do. Yeah.
how much more could
Yeah.
you enjoy, you know letting stress take a back seat in any occasion, let
Absolutely.
alone the good things,
Absolutely.
the enjoyable things.
Yeah. And I think it's also, and from a work perspective, I think it's just important to say, productivity is best won and felt when when you're in balance, when you are in balance, when you are in that place. I mean, I use the word harmony, but balance, harmony, let's whatever. When you are in that place of balance, not when you are overworked, sweating and freaking out. How is that going to lead to the best possible outcome? It may lead to an outcome, and it may not be the worst possible. It may be an okay outcome. But then I think, well, if you manage to do that in that state of stress, imagine what you could have done in that place of calm. Imagine what could have been possible.
And also, if you get to an outcome that is an okay outcome through this, what is the price that you have paid?
Exactly.
Because that is something to also consider, especially when it comes to stress in our bodies. Because as we grow older as well, I mean, we, like we experience even stress differently than when we are younger. And that's why you have a lot of people that are suffering from various illnesses, or like even psychosomatic illnesses that have nothing to do, or like nowadays, like all the autoimmune illnesses.
Yes.
All these things are like, you can see the cause is stress.
Yeah.
In so many levels. So
absolutely. Well, stress is held in the body, and if you're not doing anything about it, if you're not doing anything to change that and to remove it, then it's breaking down from the inside out. So you may not see the damage. You might feel it from time to time when you get internal pains and things. And this is just I just want to put this out there. And then stress it will come through and out of the body. And then you start to see it and feel it in very physical and other ways, and it can be the trigger for other diseases, other forms of ill health. It is not something that we should ever just accept as, oh, well, my industry is, really stressful, therefore, it just goes with the job. That kind of language is not helpful. But I hear it, Evie. I mean, I hear it, and I'd love to say that I don't hear it very often, but I hear it a lot. It's like, I'm in this industry, it's really stressful, it's just the way it is. Well, that's not just the way it's meant to be. We as humans have created that, and we need to do something about it, because that is not the kind of place we want to be operating for. And I think even as a parent, if I was like thinking, well, we're creating all of this, and now I'm going to expect my son or my daughter-in-law and whatever to deal with it and just put up. No, that's not okay. We need to start paying more attention, and we need to do the work that stops us from operating from that, from that place.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think there is no better place to do that or start doing the work than finding a community that they can support you with this if you need that. If you need that type of support, or you feel that there is that type of support. And that's why we have created Permission to Thrive for that particular thing. I mean, it is a great place to, I want to say vent. I know it's not that, but
But share. I mean, it's as much about being able to share. It's as much about being able to, this is what's happening for me, and actually, okay, so let's look at that, and let's give you some tools and resources to help you start to break that down, because it's the chipping away at it, the working at it to stop that being the thing that will help you have much more calmness and that much more ease and flow going forward. I mean, gosh, I would love to see more and more people being able to do what they do from ease and flow. That doesn't mean to say pressure moments won't come, but your ability to go into a state that helps you to, as you said, contemplate, that helps you to think, okay, what really matters right now? What is helpful? Do I need to accept it? Is there an opportunity? Being able to go into that space as opposed to, oh my gosh, I need to go and do something. They're two very different experiences.
Absolutely.
And your body will thank you for it if you take the route that will lead you to ease and flow. It will thank you for it. And I think that's what we need to, we just need to remember that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, as Emmy said,
there is plenty to unpack with regards to stress, though. I mean,
oh my goodness,
we could be working for like ages on that.
So much, and I think, yeah, I mean, it is one of the reasons why we started Permission to Thrive. I mean, there are many things, but this for me is just so critical that the stress, the pressure of the world. I mean, we can just hold it in our bodies and wreck our health. That's what we can do. So we have to say, is that what I want? Is that what I want for myself? Is that okay? And I think if we answer those questions, we say, no, of course it's not okay. And I don't want that for myself. I don't want it for anybody else. So what do we do? What are we going to do to do differently, so that we don't keep on falling into this place? And that's a lot of work, because there are a lot of people out there who are stressed, and I dare I say 24/7, who are stressed, who take that stress home. And the other part is, don't forget, you're stressed. Where are you pouring all that stress? Who is going to receive all of that stress? So now it's not just you. There are a load of other people who are involved in your stress, right? Who are taking that on board, because that's what's oozing from you, literally. So I think that there are lots of more helpful things that we can share with people than stress. And yeah, I would just encourage those who feel incredibly stressed at the moment to really stop and think about, okay, I know that this isn't right. I know this isn't normal, even though we have normalized it. What am I going to do about it? And really start bringing conversations to your workplace, with your friends, with your family. If you happen to be a midlife woman and you want to have a conversation with us, join Permission to Thrive, because we will be holding that space so that we can talk about these things and create solutions through the tools and the resources that we have in place to kind of make that change.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I completely agree. I think that is a good place to close this talk, but I think there is plenty more to talk about, plenty more to discuss, and plenty more ways to support women with this.
Yes.
Men,
absolutely.
Matter, of course.
Well, everyone needs. We're one community, so we're not going to try and do everything for everybody, but everybody needs that support. Everybody needs that support, and we are kind of taking on one part of that, but there are many other amazing communities out there that are for lots of other different people in different ways and different needs, who can also give that support. So I think more than anything, my wish is to see more people with less stress. So at that point, it's like, I don't care which community you get to, just get that support that you need so that you can make the change. And we could talk about this all day. There is so much we haven't said yet about it, but we're also mindful that we're already kind of 38 minutes in, so we are going to leave it there. We hope that you've got something from it. Love to hear any thoughts, anything, whether you agree, whether you disagree, whether there are some things that you have done to really manage your stress. Share them, because in sharing them, you may be helping somebody else. I think that's also really important. Absolutely. All of those things that you're doing that are helping you, that could help somebody else. And thank you to Original Psychpedia. So interesting that you're talking about the topic. Yes, it's a big topic, and it's an important one. So no doubt we'll revisit it in some shape or form.
Definitely. And I mean, it can affect, and it does affect not only every single one of, but I mean, our world, our the way that our reality is shaped as well.
Yeah,
So
100%. 100%. So, with that said, thank you so much if you've joined us. If you're watching this on replay, thank you also for taking the time. It is hilarious that we keep on saying, we're just going to keep them short. We never do. We've given up on. We have literally given up on that now, because
yeah,
actually, when you just want to share it and have that say and hope that it lands with somebody and has an impact, that's actually more important than the time thing. We'll
absolutely.
serve up. Evie, thank you
Definitely.
so much as always.
Thank
Always
you,
a great
Yvonne.
time with you.
Always great.
Fantastic.